Caitlin Clark out for the remainder of the 2025 season, something we all think we knew was coming after what Stephanie White said earlier today. We couldn't be too sure until we see it for ourselves. And with this announcement from the GOAT's mouth herself, Caitlin Clark won't be returning this season.
Caitlin Clark, with just one announcement, suddenly halted the entire 2025 season, and the internet shook as if a strong wind had blown a deck of cards into the air. Fans are now torn between crying, rioting, or spinning new conspiracy theories. This isn't just ordinary news, it's the kind of moment that screams, "Watch out. Everything has changed."
Not surprising at this point, but still incredibly disappointing. Caitlin Clark officially done for the 2025 WNBA season, as she and the Fever announced on social media. The Fever and Clark saying that she tried to get back on the floor. It appears that she just ran out of time, not able to get enough confidence back in her body as the season wraps up and the playoffs are likely about to begin for Indiana. I mean, it's a gut punch that basically encompasses an...
It feels as if Caitlin Clark's basketball fairy tale has reached its final line, far too soon. The same girl who turned every stadium into a grand festival, who drew even casual viewers into women's basketball, now sits on the sidelines, wrapped in a bitter what if. And the questions are rising. Is this truly the end? Could a single injury blur all her records, fame and fire, reducing her to nothing more than a one-season wonder?
It's a statement saying this: "I had hoped to share a better update, but I will not be returning to play this season. I spent hours in the gym every day with the singular goal of getting back out there. Disappointed isn't a big enough word to describe how I am feeling. I want to thank everyone who had my back through all the uncertainty. This has been incredibly frustrating, but even in the bad, there is good. The way the fans continue to show up for me and for the Fever brought me so much joy and important perspective. I am so proud of how this team has only gotten stronger through adversity this year. Now it's time to close out the season and claim our spot in the
The memory of the sports world is short and merciless. Today you're a hero, tomorrow just a forgotten footnote. Caitlin Clark's brilliant season seemed like the beginning of a rise to superstardom, but now she stands in the shadow of injury, while fans recall the stories of athletes who never made it back. The truth is harsh. Sports doesn't remember your jersey sales or your name painted across bedroom walls. It only asks one question. Can you keep stepping back onto the court?
Fever have lost so many players to injury, but obviously none bigger than Clark. And there was such a wait for this second season after her magnificent rookie season. And then, the anticipation of her possibly coming back, only for that not to happen, takes a lot of air out of the room, obviously takes a lot of energy out of the fans, and is a devastating blow for not just the Fever and the WNBA, but the good news is her career is not over. But it's a tough blow when it all comes crashing down like that. And, ever since Stephanie White's...
Right now, Caitlin Clark isn't on the court. She's at press conferences, where her careful words feel more like attempts at damage control. The tone isn't the determined "I'll come back stronger," but rather carries the weight of, "Don't forget me while I'm lost in the maze of rehab."
All right, so now, I don't know who asked the question. The young lady, shout out to you. She said, "Hey, are you guys gonna make an announcement?" Like that, I appreciate you at least. You didn't say it as blunt as I would have, but you said it. You asked the question. Hey, because now she's saying, yeah, the plan on this West Coast trip was to evaluate. How you gonna evaluate her if she never had contact? What's the evaluation? She's been able to shoot jump shots. She's been able to run up and down the court by herself with nobody touching her. What was there to evaluate? Now you're pushing it through the weekend, leading us on, having us dangling in the air.
The trolls are practically celebrating. The same people who didn't even know her name a year ago are suddenly acting like orthopedic experts. Some claim she'll never dribble again. Others have already labeled her the Greg Oden of women's basketball, before she's even cashed her second paycheck. It's cruel, but that's the nature of the internet. If you're not playing, you become the spectacle. Some athletes bounce back as if they're made of steel, while others crumble like a stale cookie. Nobody really knows which side Caitlin Clark will fall on. Maybe she'll become that one example people point to when reminding themselves that hype doesn't guarantee longevity. And isn't it strange how fast it all flipped? Not so long ago, she was tearing defenses apart, dropping points like a hidden cheat code in a video game, and smiling her way through post-game interviews as if she had solved basketball itself.
Well, there you have it, folks. My hot take from earlier this year, all of a sudden, not so hot. Caitlin Clark announced that she's going to be out for the rest of the season. Obviously, a nice little post here thanking her teammates, saying she fought back, was in the gym trying to come back. She wanted to, but Caitlin Clark not returning for the rest of the season. It makes sense considering where the Fever are at in the playoffs right now. Right now, they are making the playoffs. They're the 8th seed, so it would be the final seed there. But are they going to make much noise? Chloe Bibby just went out for the rest of the season. She was one of the...
Now, every update about her health feels like an episode from a drama. Will she return? Will she ever be the same player again? Has her confidence already been broken? Everyone waits for the next update as if it were a new episode dropping. Fans no longer watch highlights. Instead, they pore over medical reports, because it's hard to admit that maybe they've already seen her at her very best. The truth is bitter. Not every career ends with farewell tours and packed stadiums. Some careers just stop abruptly. The problem is, behind every legendary comeback, there are dozens of names that slowly fade away, ending up as nothing more than trivia questions. And no one remembers them, because why would they? The media isn't helping either. Analyses are already being published, questioning whether Clark was overhyped, whether she was simply a product of buzz, or whether this proves that women's basketball can't carry a superstar the way the men's game can. It's exhausting, but that's the harsh law of sports.
Caitlin Clark is out for the rest of the WNBA season. She had posted this whole statement on Instagram as well as the Fever officially announcing it just now here on this Thursday evening. And there have been some talks about from the Fever staff about her potentially trying to come back, and they had kind of been trying to drag this out as much as possible over the course of this season, but there simply seems to just not be enough time in this season for them to fully feel comfortable in getting her healthy. And the message that has been sent has always been the most important thing is her long-term health. That is what the Indiana Fever...
You can't just be injured. You have to turn into a bigger symbol, something dramatic, something that looks powerful enough to flash across the screen. Now, her knee is no longer just a knee. It's the centerpiece of a debate about the future of the entire sport. And the real question stands tall: 1 season. That's all she got before everything came crashing down. One magical run, a handful of viral highlights, and a brief moment when she was everyone's favorite. If that's her whole story, then what do we call it? Was it true greatness, or just a fleeting, dazzling encounter with destiny? Sports history doesn't thrive on short stories. It treasures long sagas. The question now is, can she ever return to her old self? Or will this injury turn her into nothing more than a shadow of who she used to be? Is the Caitlin Clark era already over before it even properly began? These are the questions fans are stuck on, and the vague answers only keep them circling back. But here's the bitter truth: if she never comes back, her story might actually grow bigger. Think about it. Athletes who burn out too soon often become legends. People remember what they could have been, not what they really were.
Lady finally had the balls to ask somebody, hey, are you guys gonna make an announcement? You said you're having a meeting. You had your evaluation on the West Coast trip. Now you're going to have a meeting. Are you guys going to let the fans know what the hell is going on? Because y'all keep collecting ticket money. Y'all keep promoting that she's going to be at this arena and that arena. Y'all keep saying that she's day to day. First we heard she might be back for the Minnesota Lynx the first time we played them a week ago. She wasn't even ready for that. A miraculous ankle injury popped up.
Clark might end up as basketball's greatest what if, a force frozen at her peak, a story that never got its second chapter. And maybe that, ironically, makes her even larger than if she had played 10 more years as just one of the greats. It's a strange paradox, but the truth is, sports fans feed on tragedies almost as much as they do on triumphs. Today, Caitlin Clark, once the unstoppable storm, has become the world's biggest question mark. This injury could be nothing more than a brief detour in her journey, or it could be the final line that closes the book altogether. No one can say for sure. But one thing is certain: all eyes are on her. People are speculating, analyzing, and deep down, even savoring the chaos. The greatest fear lingers. What if she never recovers? That's not just idle speculation. It's the nightmare possibility fans whisper about in quiet corners. Think about it. A player who rose like a flash of light, hailed as the savior of women's basketball, suddenly becoming the decade's most painful could have been. The irony is so sharp that even casual fans can't help but smirk at the basketball gods, as if the world was handed a rare gift, only to have it snatched away before anyone could truly experience it.
Well, here we are. The next morning after it was announced that Caitlin Clark would not be returning this season, something that I think most of us pretty much knew for maybe at least the last couple of weeks. I heavily suspected it for the last, if I'm being real, last month. Although I kept kind of holding out hope because, well, I wanted a reason to keep watching these games. And that's why the Indiana Fever has gotten dogged out as an organization.
One moment she was the headline. The next she turned into a cautionary tale coaches bring up at practice when warning about the dangers of overexposure. And let's be honest, the media is pouncing on this. They love building stars, but they love tearing them down even more. Caitlin Clark was the golden goose. She boosted ratings, spiked jersey sales, and created viral highlights. But now the story has shifted. It's all clickbait speculation and sensational drama. Suddenly, every analyst is asking the same question. Is her career already over? Forget rehab timelines. This is about fear, spectacle, and the possible collapse of an empire before it even had the chance to grow. It's harsh, but it's also compelling. Because here's the truth. Fans secretly crave this. They'll never admit it, but watching a star struggle is its own kind of entertainment. Could this injury really end her career? On paper, yes. Plenty of athletes have been derailed before they ever found their stride. Bodies aren't indestructible, no matter how many hours you grind in the gym or how many protein shakes you down. Some injuries just don't heal the way you want them to. And if Clark's body betrays her, all that hype will be stuffed into a dusty trophy case stamped with 2 words, unrealized potential.
And to the disappointment to a lot of people, she will not play for the rest of the season. Now, what does this mean for her? Rest. Big time rest. Get healthy. That's the number one thing. When you miss a full season, it's tough to come back and not be rusty. So I think a lot of the off season is going to be spent rehabbing her legs, getting stronger, and just working towards getting back to 2026 so that she can be healthy and take on the full season.